Well, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lamborghini C, and I want to discuss something that's been trending on YouTube. So,
The embassy's alert indicated officials do not believe all 8 of the deaths are linked and said they've seen an increase in reports of incidents involving the use of online dating applications to lure victims, typically foreigners, for robbery by force or using sedatives to drug and rob individuals. Often the reports coming from major Colombian cities like Medellin, Cartagena, and Bogota. Murders of foreign visitors went up by 29% in the latter part of 2023 compared to the previous year, according to the embassy, and most of the victims were U.S. citizens. It's a popular destination for Americans who are big contributors to Colombia's tourism industry, making up nearly 30% of foreign travelers in the first half of last year. But behind that beauty, tragedy, and unanswered.
I recently came back from a beautiful, beautiful trip to Cartagena, Colombia. And so I want to talk about all these tourists and people that are getting killed. Because I have to tell you, you know what? When I have talked to people about my journeys in Colombia, the first thing, like, they have gotten scared. I've seen, like, some of them get flushed. And they're like, oh my goodness, was it safe? Was it safe? Because all up and down these YouTube streets, there's like a video every week, because of course before I kind of went spur of the moment. I'll do a separate video, actually a couple videos about my travels over there just to share with you guys. But I have to tell you, you know, because I was looking up, researching like the place I was staying at, the area, like clubs to go to and things to do, like now, like the algorithm automatically starts bringing up like any videos about Cartagena. And so it seems like daily there's some new report of a tourist, usually U.S. tourist, getting unalived or kidnapped or robbed. And so I want to give my take on it. Now, one of the trends that I've noticed, or common denominators of a lot of the people, and I'm not blaming the victim at all, but a common denominator of a lot of the people that are the subjects of these stories are none other than the passport bros. And so they, again, but it's a bigger issue, right? So again, many of us that grew up in urban areas, like, we know, like, even if you are, you know, a little removed, like, you kind of know, like, you have to conduct yourself in a certain way. So, like, that's kind of the take I took on it. Like, I literally, like, this wasn't a planned trip. Like, this was, I needed to go somewhere. And I was like, I need to leave the country. Like, I need to get away. I need to, like, rest. I need to be somewhere warm, near some water. I need to clear my head. You know, I wanted to have some time to really get clarity on some of my goals and things like that, and just have a good time. And so I just picked up, and I'll do that from time to time. Like, sometimes, like, over the last couple years, like, as I've transitioned, you know, from like a traditional working environment to owning my own businesses, like, I have had the luxury, but it's also been a necessity too, because again, like, depending on when projects may start or end, like for clients, like, that might, like, I can kind of gauge, like, okay, do I feel good like stepping away, like, or going for a trip, or do I want to pick up and just work somewhere else? But I have literally sat here and been like, you know what, like, I need a different scene. I need to change the weather. You know what? I'm just going to go work in Miami next week. And then I'll be in Miami next week. So, but I'd cut some of that out because, you know, things had really picked up. And I just, with the project that I was working on, I questioned how comfortable I would be working, like, really working remote, like, outside of my normal, like, office setting. Like, I work off of any given time 3 to 5 monitors, right? I have 4 right now, but um, like if I'm like in an Airbnb where I'm traveling, like I'm probably gonna take just my computer um and my tablet, right? I'm not gonna have like my other big monitors and like my whole setup. So that changes depending on what it is that I'm working on. That can kind of shift things and that can change things a little bit for me. All right, guys, I'm back. I had to take a little pause for the cause because that lighting switched up on me. I was like, "Ooh, honey, I'm in heaven." I don't know what's going on, but okay. Anyway, I think I was moving too much. But anyway, like I was saying, like I wasn't comfortable with my whole setup. So anyway, long story short, I'd had like several months that I hadn't traveled, right? And I love my warm weather. So I was stuck here in this cold, dreary weather, raining all the time. And I needed to get away. I needed to get away. And so as you know, as you guys follow, like you know that like for my HR business, we actually have contractors that work for the company, and I staff from Colombia, and so it was perfect. But it's interesting. I had to take the long like walk around to get to like going there, which I do sometimes because God will like have it already set up like what I'm supposed to do, and then I'll be trying to do other stuff. I was looking at Bahamas, Mexico, Puerto Rico, a couple other places, but again, because it was like 2 weeks out, all the resorts were like blocked off, like they were like fully booked and stuff. And I was like, well, you know what? Let me look at Colombia. And oh my God, like some of the like Airbnbs right on the water, I was like, okay. And then as I started to like go ahead and just book my plane, finally I was going between the 2 like properties and reading up on stuff. Then it's like everything just started to fall into place. And I have to tell you, like during that time of booking everything, like just that evening, literally sitting on my couch in a matter of like 2 or 3 hours, I never had a thought about like safety. And I was going to be a solo traveler, right? Now of course, like a lot of times I probably will stop doing this because again, like it doesn't pan out. But a lot of times, even with the Miami trips, like because I'll book like an Airbnb or something like that, and then I'll usually hit up like a couple people like close to me, like hey, I'm gonna be here this week or whatever. You should fly in. But unfortunately, sometimes they can't, right? Because of you got to try to get time off work, and they may not work remotely, or like just the flights and stuff like that. But also I try to like, I don't know, I just am weird about like having too many people know like my itinerary of where I am like any given time. But I don't feel like people need to know the play by play, or at least not that many people. I try to keep it close. But I ended up going, like I said, booking everything, and it hadn't dawned on me or crossed my mind about like hugely around safety. Like I knew I was going to a foreign country to me, a country that I don't speak the language, like I'm not a native Spanish speaker. I really don't, like my Spanish is minimum, but I mean I worked in Mexico before, like very frequently. Like I used to go twice a month, like spend a week every other week, right, across the border daily. And so but that was a work environment where English was the language of business that we did business in. And so that was a little bit different. But to prep myself, I just did more research, right? And so instead of just relying on like Google or something, like now we have Google Translate and apps that will translate and speak for you and things like that. So I made sure I was equipped with that. I also, again, because I was going to a new area, and an area that, again, it's in a different state, excuse me, economically than the U.S., right? And even like when I travel, like a lot, because I don't, you're moving so much. Like I don't really take my jewelry, right? I don't take like my main jewelry or my real jewelry, and I have enough costume jewelry too that like to go with outfits. So I swapped out, like as I was starting to plan my outfits and stuff, I got like jewelry that accompanied, that still looked cute, but wasn't like, like something that if I, like let's say I left it at the Airbnb, like I would be sick about, like, oh my God, I left my, you know, dad's chain or something like that. So I thought about that. And then I also just, again, like anywhere I go, regardless if I'm going to LA, because I will be like, you can find me in Beverly Hills, and then I'll be up over in South Central one day. Like, literally, right? I just, like, I don't get scared. Like, I just, again, but there's a certain way that I move, right? You have to respect where you are. And I think that's one of the key things. I think, a lot of people get caught slipping because, like, they forget, like, you are, like, one, you're a new face. People will recognize you for that. Because they'll be like, I haven't seen you around here before, right? And then in a new country, a different country, people are going to recognize that you're American. So, like, you can't be sloppy with it, right? So, like, again, like if you're going to a different country, like one of the things you need to make sure is like you have the currency. So like I got, went to my banker and had them order some money for me, right? So we went ahead and they ordered some currency in for me before I left, right? So I was able to go over, I had more than enough with me. So I wasn't over there trying to like pulling out US dollars, and stuff and like looking crazy. Because like a lot of folks, if you go into like some of the like smaller stores and stuff, like they don't have like USD on hand or a vendor on the street or something like that. Then like I wasn't, again, like like you don't take all your money with you. Like even when I'm in New York, like that's how I move, right? Like first of all, I'm probably not even gonna have cash that much, maybe a few dollars just so that I can like tip, right? So I have something to tip with. But like you're not gonna take like a whole wad of cash, right? I'll take out like kind of what I think I want to take with me. I will tell you, like I was a little insecure, like about my knowledge, like with the currency and the conversion, because it's in meals, right? And so I tried not to use it as much as I didn't have to. And and I was nervous sometimes, like pulling it out, because I'm like, okay, I hope I'm like giving the right amount. And I did have a funny thing with in a taxi where, because the guy, he was telling me Cinco, which is 5, right? I thought it was 5, but it really was like the 20. And so I don't know, like it was just kind of funny. Like we both laughed, like he had good spirits about it. But yeah, I just I didn't want to be like out fumbling with my money, like trying to figure stuff out, right? Really looking like the Newton. But I will tell you, with this whole like with the safety thing, like I did see before I left, like as I started to see more YouTube videos come up, like just beware of people pickpocketing, right? Like don't be walking around with your phone in your back pocket and stuff, or your front. But again, like I do that in the States, right? Like if I, again, like I have different backpacks. Some are more dressed up than others. Like I left my more dressy one, like my quiet luxury backpack, because even though it's quiet luxury, it's still, you can tell it's like it's something, right? It's a crocodile leather, like it still draws its own attention. But I took more of my utility like backpack, which honestly, it's like a survival backpack. It actually has pockets everywhere. It has pockets that, like, when you have it on, that lay against your back, which is perfect. Like, that's where you put your money and, like, your phone and stuff, like, if you're not using it. So, like, it's hard for no one. You're gonna know if somebody's feeling on your back, reaching in between your bag and your back, your back, going that tough to try to take from you, right? So again, like this little stuff like that, like I know, like some of the videos mention like certain areas, don't have your phone out. Like I know people like to blog, and I wanted to take some stuff, and I did a little, but again, like, yeah, there's certain areas like you're just not going to want to do all that, right? And then you're not going to want to be like out by yourself too much at night. But let's get to it. Again, with a lot of these people getting drugged, I also, before I left, I saw like some videos and things about a drug over there that is called Devil's Breath. Like, y'all can Google it. You can pull up some YouTube videos. I actually encourage you, pull up some YouTube videos about this Devil's Breath. Now, this is tough, honey, because not only can they put it in your drink, and I think this is more Medellin, but not only can they put it in your drink, but honey, they can take it and blow it in your face, like, look like the good prophet be, honey, and you'll be messed up. But so I knew to watch out for that. So I kind of knew. I was like, okay, if I'm out, because especially like guys, they be trying to come up holler, right? Especially if you in the club and they be wanting to get all close and whisper. I was like, I'm not letting nobody get all up in my face. But again, like I don't feel like I had to conduct myself any differently than I would here in the States when I go to a new area or a place that, may be prone to some unsavory activities. But again, a lot of the folks that are showing up, and some have lost life, the stories are similar. Unfortunately, it's the guys. It's oftentimes males, the passport bros. They're flying over to the country, whether Cartagena or to Medellin, for sexual tourism. I will tell you, Cartagena did a great job with, again, the area I stayed in, Boca Grande. They had those condos and hotels on lock, like no guest allowed, which was great. It kept me in check too, because I couldn't I couldn't be bringing young Poppy up to the condo and stuff. But it, like if you did not have like individuals on your as part of the booking, like before you arrived, like it wasn't no adding people after like you arrived. Like you a day or so there, you out and about and you meeting people and y'all get cool. It wasn't any adding people there. So the places that, like, again, a lot of times the passport bros end up staying is in Gethsemane, or some people call it Gethsemane. And so some of those places are more lenient because they know what's up, right? They know what the people coming there for, what the guys are coming there for. And so, like I said, the area I was in, Boca Grande, like it was no gust, which was kind of a bummer too, because, but at the same time it kept everyone safe, I believe. But I just thought like, oh, what if because like I met like my one tour guide, like she's an attorney and stuff, and she was really cool. Like, what if I wanted to have her come, stop over or whatever and kick it? Like, yeah, but at the same time, like I understood why they had the rules in place. But again, these guys, oftentimes they're meeting, like, and some of them are meeting, especially in Medellin, like they're actually citing Tinder, which I've never used Tinder. Like I don't know how it even works really, but they're on Tinder meeting people. in a foreign country where you don't even speak the language, right? And so some of them are getting set up, and or even like meeting girls out in the club, and it's really a setup, right? Because the girls may be working with like a gang or a cartel, or have some guys that they're working with, and they're just luring you to a location or like to back to the crib or getting in your crib, and like I said, putting that devil's breath on you, and then you incoherent and clearing out your bank account. Because again, that stuff is something else. Because I guess it doesn't fully knock you out, but it makes you like incoherent, where like people can get you to do things, like they can get you to go to the ATM and like clear your account out, and then you won't even really remember the next morning. So like these guys, again, you can Google and see them on YouTube. Like they wake up and they're like Airbnb, and they're like all their electronics are gone, all their phones, tablets, computers, nice cameras and stuff, and they just know like they brought a hot chick back to the crib, and they clear it out. But again, needless to say, that is only a small portion or fragment of the population. But again, just like here, like if I go into Detroit, like certain areas, even when I worked in Southwest Detroit. Like y'all haven't seen the little series, the BMF series, like the 50 Cent got out there. There's only a smidget. They only showing you just a little smidget of what was going on back in those days. But even, I mean, like again, there's a certain way I conduct myself. And then for me, it's interesting because I always like, attract different people, like little guardian angels or somebody that's gonna look out, right? Again, I think, real recognize real, right? And they kind of look out, and that same thing happened to me with Cartagena. My little angel, right, who looked out for me, kind of told me where to go, or would walk, like would be like, where are you at, like, and I'm gonna walk with you or whatever. And so that worked out for me. But there were some times like I was out alone. I was, and he was upset when he found out. But like, I mean, I was in Gethsemane by myself like one night. It wasn't too late, but I was in a really bright lit area. Like I went to a boat party by myself, and met some really cool people. But then afterwards, when I left, like I was just walking around enjoying the city, picking up eating on the street, like stopping at vendors on the street. And yeah, that could have went left. Even when I stepped into the city, sometimes I do, like again, I know the angels are with me, because sometimes I like move, like everybody can't move how I move, right? Especially like when I'm by myself. But I rely on that like instinct, right? That discernment. But when I first got there, yeah, I took a chance. I did. Because this guy met me, and he was like kind of a unmarked cab that I took to my condo, which in hindsight, that could have really went left. However, even then, I took pictures of the car, the license plate, and sent them to my cousin, right? And I think I even snapped a picture of him, right? Like, hey, he's taking, like, the taxi's taking me to the condo. But again, a lot of these stories are, guys that are over there for sexual tourism. And it is a lot. It's interesting because you can see, like as you're flying over there, you can see in the US, like you can see in the airport, some of the guys, like there were a few on the plane with me, like that you could tell. Even on the way back, oh my goodness, y'all. Because, I had my wavy wig in, my little curly hair, my wash and go hair. And because my friend was calling, checking on me as I was flying back, like he would video call me. And so, I was using the few Spanish words that I know. Hola, como esta? The dude next to me, passport bro, in the aisle next to me was ear hustling. He had the nerve to think I was Colombian. And he was about to try to holler. He was, so you're moving over here. And when I let him know, I was like, no, I'm going home. Like, I live in Michigan. You should have saw how he switched up on me. That was so hilarious. But he himself, like, he had gone over there with 8 of his friends, and they stayed in the city. So you already know, like, I already know what it is, right? Like, that's what they were there for, right? And so, again, it's just wherever you are, conduct yourself. But I do feel a way because I feel like, in some respects, the country as a whole, like, is getting this bashing, right? Is getting this negative, like, perception around it. And people are becoming afraid to even travel there, which, again, the area that I was in, Cartagena, it appears that it does rely heavily on tourism. Um, I will tell you, like, again, like, for the most part, the biggest crimes are going to be pickpocketing and then scamming. Like, people are going to, like, upcharge you if they realize you're American, right? But, again, that's where your street sense comes into play. Or if you're flashy, if you are flashy, you kind of, you want to play it cool, they have a saying, no dar papaya, right? Don't bring attention to yourself. But you got some people that they aren't well traveled, and unfortunately some of them is the passport bros. So again, like with that whole movement, the good thing is it has sparked people that normally otherwise would not even get a passport or travel, to go and get a passport and travel and to get out of their surroundings, right? And to go and experience something new. Now they're doing it again for reasons that I may not agree with, but at least it's getting them out of their natural surroundings. The unfortunate thing is because they aren't used to traveling and they're not worldly or cultured, they go, like, literally as they are here, as they're in the hood here. Like, no one care. Like, sir, it's not a flex. Like, you look like you're a walking target with your Rolex or with your fake watch, with the crystals on it, on your chain. Like, you don't do that. Like, what are you doing? And you're in a country and in an area where, again, for some folks, they are in survival mode, like, for real. Like, for real. And so it's almost like you're rubbing it in their face. So, like, what are you doing? Now, it is a strong hustle culture. I will tell you that. I'll probably do a video kind of discussing that as I do my overview. Because you will have people coming up to you trying to sell you every second. They've got something to sell to you. Especially when they realize that you're not from there. Especially when they realize you're American, right? And in those interactions, it lends itself to have people getting in close proximity to you, uncomfortably. So you kind of got to mark your territory. I went in knowing that, so I knew I was going to be saying a lot of no gracias, no gracias. And then at some points I just had to say, look, no. Like, and just be stern with it. Like, stop. Because now you're doing too much. But I had a photo shoot one day, and it was me and this couple. And, like, the vendor was, like, he was doing too much. Like, I don't think it would have gone well. But I know, like, but he didn't try me like he did with the dude, like the husband. Like, he was selling these hats, and, like, the husband, he kept saying no gracias, because they actually spoke English fluently. And so he kept saying, no gracias, no gracias. And like the guy, he literally like was taking the hat and like putting it on his hat. And he was like having to lean, and he was steady trying to put it on his hat. And I was like, oh my God. So then he came over to me, and I'm like, look, no gracias. Okay. And, he went on about his way. But, like, yeah, some of them can be, like, doing too much, right? And again, and I'm just funny too. Like I said, how I grew up and how I was taught, from my dad and stuff. Like, again, you don't let people just get in too close proximity to you like that. Strangers, you know. And then I'm somebody too, like I have gun, like sometimes, like, here in the States, like I have my CCW. Like, so, you know, depending on where I am going, like I might be carrying, like you don't let you too close. Like you don't let people get all up on you like that. But but yeah, I just, again, I've been seeing all the stuff, and I will tell you guys, don't be afraid to go to Cartagena. It is a great, great place. And again, I went as a solo traveler by myself. At the same time, keep your head about yourself. Don't forget, like, again, this is not your hood. Don't forget, again, most of the people because you're there as a tourist, most of the people you're interacting with, they love you because they're paid to love you, because they're going to make money off of you. So all the taxi drive, like, everyone's nice, everyone's smiling, but again, like, they're making some money off of you. Like, they're paid to like you. Just like the resorts, like a lot of people get caught up and they're like, they'll go to a country and a resort and they're like, oh my God, they're so nice. Oh, they're so sweet. And it's like they're paid to be nice and sweet to you, right? So, like, never forget that. And I think that's how some people get caught up too, because they're like, oh, okay, I'm cool with them. And then they get talked into, like, I've watched, again, so many of these stories. And, like, and then some of them I'm like, oh my God, I can see how I could get, like, somewhat to a certain point. But, like, they get cool with people and then they try to get them off the beaten path. Like, oh, let's go, the sunset is really nicer up this mountain. And, next thing you know, you on a mountain with somebody, and then people start coming out the woodwork looking like you a steak, a T-bone steak or something. And just don't get yourself caught up in those situations or predicaments. Like, even, again, like I said, my little guardian angel who was helping me out, like, he was trying to get me to come out somewhere and I already was back at my condo and he was with his boys, right? And again, it's like I picked up the vibe that he was cool, but see, I don't know your crew, I don't know your homeboys, right? And so I don't, and I don't speak the language fluently either. And so, and I don't know, like, the dynamics. Do you have control of your crew? And so, guess where I was at? I was at home at the crib, up in the condo, looking Boca Grande, living La Vida Loca, baby, and safe. And so, again, you got to keep your head about yourself, with these things. So, again, moral of the story: you shouldn't be scared to go to Colombia. When you go, you do need to have your head about yourself. You need to think practical. You need to think clearly. Realize, like, you're in a different country. Colombia is not a place that you want to be flashy. It's not a place, like, we've seen the history, we've watched the movies and things like that, so we know there's cartel behavior and things like that. So you don't want to get yourself caught into certain scenarios and situations, right? And you're probably going to avoid some of the mishaps that some of these other people have experienced. But again, I liken that to like certain areas here in the States. There's always your nice area and your not so nice area. Like before you go, I think it would behoove you to do a little bit of that research as well. Like there's usually always like a block, that once you get to that point, you don't go further than that, right? Because again, that's not, like, you might think you're hood and you're good in the hood, but that's not your hood. Like, they don't know you like that. And so you stay on the main beaten path, the tourist area, because they also have a vested interest to keep you safe too in those tourist areas, because they want good reviews and they want people to feel safe and comfortable coming. And again, like, there's so many measures put in place to keep you safe in those areas. I mean, like, the security guards and stuff, they came, by like day 2, like, they came to know me, from coming in and out. And again, we're very nice. And again, if you're a nice person and you meet people, like, they're kind of going to look out for you as well, right? And so, again, like, you don't have to be afraid to go, but at the same time, keep your head about yourself. Stay out of eerie situations that could bring you trouble. And last but not least, remember, no dar papaya. Have a good day.